In a season that mainly has been built around Zach Lavine trade speculation, we now know that Zach Lavine will be out the remainder of the season. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this quick content. So Zach Lavine will undergo season-ending surgery on his foot that will leave him out the remainder of the season. Now, this is the end of a lot of speculation around Zach Lavine and where he was going to end up this season, if he's going to end up on the Chicago Bulls or not. The fact that Zach Lavine is now having a season-ending surgery, I think that also closes the door on the fact that of any chances of Zach Lavine even being moved this offseason. Now, we have seen players that coming off injuries be moved in offseasons before. I think the most recent situation was Colin Sexton, who was coming off a major surgery when he was traded to the Utah Jazz. So it's not out of the realm of possibility Zach could be moved if that's still what the Bulls' focus is. But considering now Zach Lavine is out after season-ending surgery, he will be out 4 to 6 months. He's focused on rehab at this point. This is a hit for the Chicago Bulls if they really were as focused on moving Zach Lavine as some of the rumors would have talked about before. And this is really going to be maybe a hit that Zach Lavine and a wake-up call that Zach Lavine needs on why when he does return, he has to be focused on contributing towards winning and playing within the system and to be a complementary piece in a way, still being very prioritized in the offense. But the thing that now remains to be seen is how does this maybe change the Bulls' plans for the trade deadline? You know, reportedly, we've heard that the Bulls have been interested in looking for deals with Lonzo Ball's contract. Even DeMar DeRozan could be a player that's become available. And it just comes down to it. Zach Lavine's season now ends after playing only 25 games, averaging 19.5 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. And now the Bulls can shift towards, what does this mean for the future of Zach Lavine? Could this humble the player that reportedly asked for a trade earlier in the season? We'll see what it comes down to, but this is definitely, as far as hurting the Bulls' value, it hurts the Bulls' standing even further if they did look to move on to Zach Lavine. And as has been said over the last couple of months, this really puts the highlight on the fact that Zach Lavine is going to be a Bull for the foreseeable future. And with this now season-ending surgery, hopefully Zach Lavine, when he does come back next season, is more focused on fitting in. Is focused on playing within the system, playing off Kobe White, because I do think that could be something that helps Zach Lavine's value and overall impact winning over the course of an NBA season. This is a big ding. Like I said, him and his management team looking for a trade potentially and things like that. They're going to have to probably sit down for a while. Now, like I said, it's not completely impossible the Bulls do move him in the offseason, but I think that this, with already the questions around Zach Lavine's impact on winning, the questions around Zach Lavine's continued health, we just had a couple of days ago, Casey Johnson talking about how serious the injury with the foot is. And those words became even truer now, hearing that Zach Lavine is going to be out after a season-ending surgery. So a lot of questions ahead for Zach Lavine and his future with the Chicago Bulls. I think the bigger question is now is him getting healthy to show and prove that he can contribute to winning, and that's going to come in a Chicago Bulls uniform. This has been one of the craziest seasons, as much as Zach Lavine has been in trade rumors for the majority of his career. In and out of trade rumors doesn't always mean the team was shopping him, but this is a interesting turn of events considering where the season has gone and been for the long part of Zach Lavine's season so far and with the Chicago Bulls. So this now adds a little bit more clarity. The Bulls fans that were asking, what's going to happen with Zach Lavine? This ends it. There's no more now. Zach isn't going to be traded by this trade deadline. He's probably not going to be traded in the offseason at all now. It's focused on rehab, getting back on the court, and showing that Zach Lavine can stay healthy while contributing to winning for an NBA team if he really does eventually want to move on. Now, as far as the outlook for the Chicago Bulls, the fact that your highest paid player in team history, not only in the same season requested a trade, but then underwent a season-ending surgery, that's major, right? That's big. That's big time. And it could definitely affect how you build the team around the rest of the season. Thank God for the growth of like Kobe White, things like that. But man, this is a interesting chapter and turn of events for the Bulls and for Zach Lavine as we go forth now towards the end of the rest of the season at this point. You know, I think the trade deadline gets a little bit less interesting for Zach Lavine and the Chicago Bulls because of it. And we'll end up seeing what happens, man. This is, it's a hit, And hopefully this may be the wake-up call that, like I said, Zach Lavine and his representation needs. The best chance at him having a future may be just in the Chicago Bulls uniform. But let me know what you guys think, as always, down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.